Hey, it's Fox from InfernoFox Gaming. jRPGs with the best first impressions. We're going to be talking about that today. Which jRPGs left the best first impression on you? This is a question I'm not only asking you, to which you can reply in the comments section below, but a number of fantastic YouTubers. There are a bunch of great people who, like me, have a smaller, more organic channel and a real love for the RPG genre. So while here, make sure to not only like this video and subscribe, but check out their channels as well, because we're going to have links to them in the description below. One quick note, while each of these fantastic YouTubers have picked a different game to talk about, one special game was selected by two of them, and that is this great title right here, Star Ocean, the second story R. It really is a special title for me personally, and I almost picked it myself. But let's go ahead and jump right in with...
Hey y'all, Shinky here from Shinky jRPGs. I didn't discover Tales of Eternia on my own. My buddy invited me over, I walked into his room, I heard battle music blasting from his TV, and saw a screen filled with magic spells, sword swings, and anime characters yelling mid-combo. Honestly, it kind of looked like he was playing an interactive anime. He looks at me, hands me a controller, and says, "Hey, you're gonna help me beat this boss." That was my very first taste of Tales of Eternia. I had no idea who the characters were yet, Reed, Farah, Meredy, but within seconds I was hooked. The game's battle system wasn't turn-based like I expected. It was real-time, it was fast-paced, and actually kind of fun. I remember spamming arts, trying to time my hits, and watching these smooth 2D animations light up the screen. We were fighting Volt about halfway through the game, and it wasn't like something I had ever experienced before. It was almost as if Street Fighter and Final Fantasy had a baby, and I was here for it. After we finally beat the boss, I sat there kind of stunned. Not just from the fight, but from the vibe of the whole thing. That character banter with the voice acting, which was not exactly very common back on the PS1. The colors, it all felt so much more alive than any RPG I had ever played. And then my friend shows me the anime intro, and I'm like, okay, why am I just hearing about this game now? This is awesome! The charm, the speed, the way it throws you right into the action, Tales of Eternia made me a fan before I even knew the plot. That first fight wasn't just exciting, it was a door into one of the best RPG experiences that I never saw coming. And little did I know, it was going to start a lifelong obsession. It didn't matter that I'd missed the first few hours. That boss fight and how the game felt told me everything I needed to know. Tales of Eternia had me from the very first battle, and that's all that mattered. Thank you so much, InfernoFox, for having me, and if you want to hear more Tales talk or jRPGs in general, hopefully I'll see you over on my channel, Shinky jRPGs. I can't wait to see what other games left lasting impressions on everyone else. And until the next one, everyone, have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for having me on your channel. Being among such fantastic creators for this collab, it is so special. Plus, it took no time at all to come up with an answer as to which jRPG gave me the best first impression. That was Star Ocean, the second story R on Nintendo Switch. To me, this is so much more than just a game. My initial feelings about this action jRPG after about 5 minutes of gameplay were so strong, it, well, kickstarted my channel. The 2.5D aesthetic, the seamless 3D environments and 2D pixel art were so stunning that I immediately stopped, deleted my file, started again, and this time, I was recording footage. I'll always look back on Star Ocean fondly because my review, my first ever for Gaming with Krushworth, introduced me to so many kind people, and that's something I'll never forget. For my playthrough, I picked Claude C. Kenny. Combat's different for both playable characters, with Claude being a melee fighter and Reyna a magic user and healer. Depending who you select, they have their own perspective and can recruit different allies, heavily influencing the game's replayability. Get this! There are 99 different story endings. One thing about me, I love grinding in jRPGs. I find it cozy. So the system of leveling where I was chaining together 2, 3, 4, or 5 battles meant I was ready for some of the game's tough fights. I'd never seen a combat style like this in a game before, so it left a good first impression on me. Alright, it's a typical day for a jRPG hero. Claude, sucked into a portal, arrives on the medieval world of Expel, and yup, jumps in to save Reyna from being attacked by a beast. Now that's a first impression. Then Claude, being the legend he is, yup, tees up another one with Reyna's mom.
A real man could put all this away, no problem. So eat as much as you like, all right?
Thanks.
Oh, Mom.
On Expel or Earth, being genuine with a party member, or in RL, your would-be date's parents, is a boss move. Having completed the game, this is a remake for the ages, and if you like action jRPGs, you're in luck. The combat is smooth, challenging when needed, and the plot is gripping. Thanks again for having me on, Fox. Everybody out there, ensure you like this video, subscribe, check out everybody else's content, and I'd love to see you over on my channel, Gaming with Krushworth. Alright, see you later.
Hey folks, Jay from Cold Nights, host of Coffee and Consoles here. Great French vanilla blend. My good friend Firefox asked me what game on the Nintendo Switch left the best first impression, and for me, it had to be Fire Emblem Engage. We even got my girl Panette up on the wall. Let's get into why this game left such a great first impression. Right from the opening cutscene, I knew that Fire Emblem Engage was going to be something special. Watching Alir and Marth run into danger sparked a chain reaction of nostalgia, excitement, and hope for the future of the franchise in my brain. I wasn't disappointed. I was delighted seeing all of my favorite characters from past games return as emblem rings. I adored watching their incredible attacks and abilities unfold when partnered with our heroes. I played 75 hours, grinding endlessly using second seals to power up the crew. I greatly enjoyed the return to the old style of Fire Emblem storytelling. A basic good versus evil narrative with many layers of added depth if one was to take the time to seek out the support conversations between the characters. The game was filled with so much tragedy as well as beauty in these added wrinkles. Not everybody loves the game, I think partly due to the fact many fans entered the series with 3 houses, which presented a deep, detailed narrative focusing on the religion, politics, and royal family dramas of the nations. Yet, the mix of classic combat, mixed with the new system of the rings, as well as that expandable story had me hooked. I still revisit it from time to time and tread the map looking for a few bandit encounters to bring back the great memories the game left me with. I'm excited to see what everyone else picks. And as always, stay creepy.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy RadBashGaming, and special shout out to InfernoFox for having me on this awesome collab. So we're supposed to talk about a jRPG that had the best first impression on us, and of course, if you know me, you knew I was going to talk about it. I have to go with Kingdom Hearts 1 on the PlayStation 2. So, Kingdom Hearts came out when I was a kid, but I can still to this day remember the commercial with the simple and clean song playing and just seeing the Disney characters and everything. I'm a huge Disney kid. I grew up Disney. I still love Disney. Disney is life. So this game really spoke to me. Now, I'm not the biggest JRPG or RPG fan. I do like some of them, but, you know, I tend to turn towards other games. But man, this game really brought me in. For those who don't know what Kingdom Hearts is, you play as Sora, a young boy who is teaming up with Donald and Goofy, and you go around multiple Disney worlds and seal away the darkness and stop the Heartless from taking over and stealing hearts. It's an absolute gem. I know the writing isn't the best, and the series has gotten massively confusing over time, but man, I love this game. And to this day, like I said, I can still remember that commercial. I was on the living room floor in my parents' apartment watching that, and I begged my mom for it. And luckily, I did end up getting it for Christmas when I got my PlayStation 2. And I even got all of the action figures that were out at the time. Unfortunately, I had lost those, but luckily, as an adult, I've managed to get all those back, so I'm super grateful to have those. But yeah, that would be my pick for this video. So there you have it down below. Have you played Kingdom Hearts 1? Have you played any of the Kingdom Hearts games? Let us know. I look forward to seeing everybody else's parts in this collab. And again, Fox, thank you so much for having me on. But like always, guys, stay radical.
The JRPG that made the best first impression on me was Bravely Default 2. I featured this game on a previous video on just how great it is and how underappreciated that I feel it is. You can check this video out via the link in the description below. Now, to preface, I've never played the first two Bravely Default games before that had preceded this one that were on the 3DS. I saw this newest entry on the March 2020 Nintendo Direct and thought of some of the specific battle mechanics were right up my alley because, of course, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. They announced that there was going to be a demo of this, and I'm like, hey, I'll give the demo of this a shot. After the loading title and very brief introduction, it put me in the hands of a fully formed party with jobs already assigned to said party members. After exploring a little bit, I got into battle, then quickly defeated the enemies. I played maybe a total of 3 minutes of the game, but I stopped it right then and there. I deleted the demo and immediately pre-ordered the title. I was sold. Not only being a Final Fantasy fan, I've got a huge soft spot for the classic turn-based entries. Within the first 3 minutes of playing it, as I mentioned, I knew that what this game was emulating was right up my alley. And as soon as I got the game and started my playthrough, I was exactly right. The characters have the same chibi style, like bodily proportions as like the first five Final Fantasies. The music is similar sounding, albeit maybe crisper, and the battle system, along with its respective jobs, is so strongly like Final Fantasy V, but better. Add to that the Brave and Default system within it, on top of the old school difficulty, and I realized this game was the stuff of dreams for an old school Final Fantasy fan like myself.
What is up, guys? It's Paul, aka 90s Handheld Gamer here, and when InfernoFox asked me to talk about a JRPG that left a really great first impression on me, I didn't even really have to put much thought into it. It was hands down, immediately, Fire Emblem Three Houses that came to mind for me, because right from the start, the story of this game had me intrigued. The presentation was so good that it had me hooked as well, with the great voice acting and the anime cutscenes. And right away, pretty early on, you get right into that good strategy gameplay. And not only did this game leave a good first impression on me, but it would go on to leave a very lasting impression on me, as I would put this as my #1 game available on the Nintendo Switch, the best game in the Switch library. Just such a phenomenal game with phenomenal music, phenomenal presentation, phenomenal strategy, gameplay, and combat. The story and characters are just so well written, so fleshed out. This game definitely had me hooked from beginning to the end. But thanks to InfernoFox Gaming for having me on this video, and be sure to subscribe to his channel if you're not already.
What's going on, guys? uppernimbus here. So what is it about the original Xenoblade Chronicles that gave me the best first impressions for a JRPG? Well, to be honest, it's the epic, cinematic, mysterious intro of the game which drew me in immediately. The world setup of these two ancient giant titans battling in an endless sea. I wondered and I questioned already at that time, at the start of Xenoblade Chronicles, what was happening in this world? What is this mysterious world that we're going to be exploring? What is this world that Shulk is from? Oh my god, the whole premise of just a boundless sea and these two great titans, that in itself was an amazing first impression. Literally just the intro cutscene, I'm not gonna lie. But of course, when I got to the gameplay of Xenoblade Chronicles, just realizing that although Xenoblade Chronicles isn't necessarily open world, it is open segmented. So you have these giant segments of maps that feel open world in nature. They're so huge and sprawling, they in themselves almost feel boundless. You know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to describe, but it's kind of like a hybrid between being open world but not being open world. And how Monolith Soft even got Xenoblade Chronicles to run on the original Wii, let alone the somewhat downgraded version on the new Nintendo 3DS XL. How did they do that? They are absolute technical marvels. I'm absolutely impressed with just the Xenoblade Chronicles series in general, and of course the first game, which is, well, yes, the first game in the series that I played. And I'm so glad that I started with the original Xenoblade Chronicles, because that is how you should begin this amazing series of jRPGs.
InfernoFox Gaming, thank you so much for inviting me to this collaboration of yours, and as always, I look forward to everybody else's choice within this video. So until the next time, everybody, uppernimbus is signing off.
Hey everyone, what up? Matt Kaiser here, and thank you InfernoFox Gaming for allowing me to be in your collab. It was an absolute pleasure. With that said, let's talk about jRPG that really gave me the best first impression, and that would have to be Final Fantasy 16. Now, a little bit of backstory here. I was actually relatively new to the Final Fantasy series post 2020 with games like Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 1, as well as Final Fantasy 9, 10, 6, and even Stranger of Paradise, which I actually enjoyed. But Final Fantasy 16 in particular was the one I was looking forward to, given the pedigree that Creative Studio 3 at the time had with the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy 14, and them doing the next single-player mainline Final Fantasy had me excited. And when the demo came, it really blew my expectations through the water, and made me really invested in the game, from its amazing opening and getting to know Clive and his backstory, and how he became a knight and shield of Rosaria, and how he cares about his brother Joshua, and seeing the absolute amazing tension, especially throughout the story, through the opening act, really got me hooked. Couple that with the amazing soundtrack and a very good iconic fight. See what I did there?
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
You had what in my mind was a pretty good opening to a Final Fantasy game in a while. I mean, par with maybe Final Fantasy VII's iconic opening. Now, while the game itself over time did have some flaws, it was still an experience I would never forget, and honestly, that opening act was still an absolutely amazing experience. Coupled with the fact that you even got to try out the combat in the game's other segmented demo, that being the combat iconic challenge thing, where you get to hammer with 3 other icons, being Phoenix, Garuda, and Titan, and really maybe enjoy the gameplay a lot in here. And that would have to be my pick for the jRPG that gave me the best first impression. Special thanks again for InfernoFox Gaming for allowing me to be in a collab. I can't wait to see what others have chosen, but until then, Mad Kaiser out.
Hey everyone, Abdallah from DallahGames here, and I would like to thank InfernoFox for having me on to talk about jRPGs that gave me the best first impression. Now, there are great jRPGs, and then there are those rare ones that grab you the moment you hit new game. For me, Star Ocean: The Second Story R on the PS5 is one of those. From the very first few minutes, you're treated to a beautiful reimagining of the cult classic. The updated 2.5D visuals are stunning, blending expressive sprite work with layered, painterly environments that make even the most familiar towns and fields feel like a storybook illustration come to life. But more than that, the game wastes no time throwing you into the strange sci-fi meets fantasy setup, and the curiosity it sparks is immediate. The split protagonist system is another strong hook. Choosing between Claude and Rena right from the start feels like a promise that your decisions will matter and your perspective will shape the story. It's not just cosmetic either. Their introductions are paced differently, their motivations distinct, and the early hours change depending on who you pick. It gives the replay value real weight. But even if you never touch a second run, the first choice sets the tone for a personal, branching journey. And let's talk about the combat. The Second Story R throws you into fast, real-time action right away, where positioning and quick reflexes matter. It's fluid and intuitive without being overwhelming. And the modern enhancements tighten the original system in a way that respects its roots, but makes it feel fresh for new players. Combine that with an excellent rearranged soundtrack, a slick UI work, and you're looking at one of the best remakes in recent jRPG memory. Not just in gameplay, but in overall feel. Now, most remakes ask you to wait a while before they show their full hand. Star Ocean: The Second Story arc doesn't. It grabs you in the first 15 minutes with visual charm, high-stakes mystery, and snappy mechanics, and somehow keeps the momentum going. That first impression isn't just strong, it's a thesis statement for why this series deserves your attention in the modern era.
So these have been our picks for the RPGs that have given us the best first impressions. Let us know in the comments section below not only your choice, but what you thought of ours. Huge thanks again to everyone for joining me on talking about this fun topic. Make sure to check out each of these fantastic YouTubers' sites in the description below, not only for fantastic RPG goodness, but more excellent video game related content. Thanks again for watching, and we hope you have a great day.